It's a great place to test the K-Bar heavy Bowie knife. And that's the knife we're going to take down.
I'm going to talk about some great survival knives in this video review. But before I get going, I want to review again some guiding principles for what I do here in the Nutnfancy project. I haven't discussed them for a long time, probably since 2009, but they play now more than ever, and they go something like this. Be honest. Shoot straight. Tell the truth and let the chips fall where they're going to fall, and don't worry about it. It'll all play out in the end. Don't waste a lot of time sucking up to this group or that group, seeking approval from this manufacturer, that manufacturer. No, just be honest. And that's what I attempt to do here in the Nutnfancy project. I attempt to do that in my life. Now don't get me wrong, that honesty will make you enemies. It just does. It's always been that way in the world. I mean, if you want to kind of pick your way and choose your words extremely carefully, again, trying to gain points from, groups and forums and all that, help yourself. That's just not the way I roll here in TMP. You longtime subscriber and, more importantly, viewer to the Nutnfancy Project Knife Show know this to be true. I have reviewed all types of knives over the years. I'm not brand myopic, I'm not type myopic, and I'm not a fanboy. Now, I don't know about you, but my definition of a fanboy, so to speak, is someone who buys an item, whatever it is, knife, gun, tactical gear, loves that item, becomes very enthusiastic about it. Maybe he gains cool points from his friends, his forums that he participates in. And he becomes a fanboy to the extent that that is the only item that you should own. That anybody else who owns another item, another brand, is an idiot. You ever seen that? And he will spend lots of time and energy and actually hate trying to convince other people that the real item they should have are the ones that he spent his money on. That all others are inferior. And that you are not enlightened like he is. Okay, so you need to, gain his level of enlightenment and knowledge because he's the true expert, and come over to his way of thinking. That's a fanboy. I'm not that. Definitely not. If you don't believe me, dig into my playlist. I have all types of video proof. Years and years of video proof. And actually, this is some interesting insight perhaps, especially if you're new to TMP. That is one of the reasons I started the Nutnfancy project in the first place. Because I saw those attitudes in the forums. I used to participate in the forums. But I saw the fanboyism, I saw the gatekeeping, I saw the armchair elitism, and I'll tell you what, man, I bailed. I was gone. Haven't been back since. I'm not to say there aren't some great forums. There are well-moderated, awesome forums with all types of great information in it. But in a lot of threads, the signal to noise ratio is so out of whack, it's insane. And yes, when you go there, you'll see some hate against me for the truth that I attempt to speak right here. It's just the way it's got to be, man. It always will be. And I just keep pressing on for you, the longtime subscriber to the Nutnfancy project. Which brings us to the subject of this video. One of my favorite knives ever, because it is so essential to a man-portable wilderness system, and it's one I devoted so much time and energy on early in the TMP, or I should say early in the Nutnfancy project, starting in 2008, and that's a survival knife. Or the woods blade, as I've always called it. Again, jump into my playlist, look at those 2008 videos to 2009 videos, the first of their kind, video proof that the survival knife can do what I said it could do, and that is function as an all-purpose woods tool. I mean, back then there was a lot of people that said it could not. You should never baton with a knife. I caught all types of flack for that. And so in beginning TMP, I was like, well, I'm just going to show them that it can. I had been doing it for years, and I was like, what the heck? I'm just going to start making videos. So once again, you'll go, and the first of their type that I know of just going out in the woods and busting down trees with this freaking survival knife. Lots of ways to do it, but is there a way to do it in such a compact, size-efficient package? I'm still looking, but it's still a favorite. Which brings us to this point. End of summer 2013, and I'm still reviewing my favorite in the world, survival knives, and in this video we're going to be talking about Bussy knives. I love them. Love them, love them, love them. I'm not a fanboy, but I acknowledge the greatness in the design, the construction, as we're going to talk about in great detail here in this feature-length review. Big fan. And I've spent a fair amount of time testing the blades. Now, if you're new to Bussy, and I think in the past I've said Busey, Bussy, I think the proper pronunciation is Bussy, so I apologize if I've gotten it wrong. We'll call it Bussy in this vid. How's that? There's 3 divisions of Bussy knives. Bussy proper, as I call it, that's a high-end knives. They're going to be expensive. It's no holds barred quality levels in Bussy knives. I've shown a couple of them in other videos. And then you'll have a couple subdivisions which hold, honestly, greater interest for me. Because you're going to get the same performance, in my opinion, or very near performance for a lot less money. And that will take us to a subdivision I've already covered. And that is the scrapyard knives by Bussy. I reviewed the 511, 711, 911. There's a video at the top if you want to check that out. And then we have the Swamp Rat Knives division of Bussy, and that's the subject of this video. Now, I said feature-length video, and I mean it because now we're going to talk about freaking 4 knives from the Swamp Rat series, and in doing so, I think I will represent the entire line. So you know that ad money I make here on YouTube, right? Well, this is what I do with it. I go out and I buy knives and I test them completely independent from the manufacturer. They never even know I'm doing it. Bang, out comes a testing and review, and that's what this video is going to culminate. It's all that work. So here we go. We're talking about the Swamp Rat line by Bussy. It is outstanding. I'll just start off right now. It's as good as any survival knife I've used up there. I absolutely am enthusiastic about the brand. We'll start off by showing you the Rodent 6. Actually, these knives are going to be very similar to the Psycho series. That is a Scrapyard Psycho series, and that's Psycho is spelled S-Y-K-C-O, like we talked about in that video, right? And I'll show you those very quickly. Let's see. This one is a newer one, not used yet. Both of them, actually. I have thumpers on these. So that's the Psycho 711 there. And then in that video review, sharpened on the Edge Pro Apex, wearing a wicked edge. Look at that. The Psycho 511 mid-size camp knife. We talked about that. And the reason, again, I'm showing you these right now is because they're very similar to the the Swamp Rat knives. And you'll see that this video is kind of an addendum to it. But I love these knives so much, I'm breaking it out to its own video. And then the 911, the Psycho series. Great. We'll reference these as time goes on, because you, my subscriber, might want to know, well, do I spend my money on this or the Swamp Rat series? It might have a lot to do with what you define as second kind of cool that we've also talked about here in TNP for a long time. So this is a very capable Rodent 6. It's awesome. Then we purchased a Ratmandu CG in, as you can see, FDE coloration. With that coloration handle. Just really good looking knife. How about the Rodent Solution? Excellent. And then last but definitely not least, the freaking very capable Rodent 9. Oh my gosh. Again, my enthusiasm for these knives, guys, off the charts, man. They are so very capable. Now, I have a challenge ahead of me, as you can probably imagine, and that is covering the details for these 4 blades, which again is going to be a representation, I feel, across the entire Swamp Rat line. I'll do the best I can. I'll do the best I can. I can't guarantee I'll get all the details right. It's technical. I want to start off with philosophy of use, and we'll go back to that woods blade or survival knife intro that I did. I said recently in a survival knife video that I love the security that a survival blade provides me as a woodsman, as a backpacker, and I will totally stick with that. That I can kill things with it, make fires, make shelters, make wilderness traps, dig in the snow, dig in the dirt, do all kinds of things which allow me to be comfortable and to live up in the woods. So the first philosophy of use, especially for these 3 right here, the Rodent 6, Rodent 9, and Ratmandu CG, is going to be survival knife. Pick the size which works best for your system. Some guys will say, well, this works best for my system, the Rodent Solution. To me, that's not really a full-size survival knife. It might be a great bushcrafting option for you if you're a practitioner of that. But for me, I want something bigger that's going to minimize my TCE, as I've said a bazillion times here in the Nutnfancy project. My favorite, as you can imagine, in this philosophy of use, that is a survival knife, is which one? You're right, you know me. The Rodent 9. You guys know me so well, my subs. They're like, yeah, dude, you love the big blades, man. I do. But there's a big asterisk next to that discussion, and that is if I can take the weight on this Rodent 9, because it's substantial. It's 23.6 ounces in weight. I'm talking the knife alone. And then when you add in a very cool custom-made Kydex sheath, which I'll show you when we get to that section, 29 ounces. So it's almost 30 ounces. So when you get up to that weight, you might want to ask, is that my best weight distribution? Maybe I should go with a smaller knife and a backpacking saw. It just depends on what your system is. Again, if you're backpacking, that's always my bent because it's the most challenging application of backpacking. If you're on a snowmobile, a quad, a Jeep, you're at the house, it doesn't really matter. So I would definitely go with the Rodent 9. Rodent 6 is not far behind it. It's 15.4 ounces. I do not have a sheath for this one yet, so that's all I can go by. Very capable. It has a good span when you start batoning with it. As you will see, these knives hack amazingly. Maybe I should show you this one since that's the one I hacked with. They are forward weighted in most of the versions, and they are substantial in weight. And thickness, I might add. That's a big slab of steel right there. Big slab. A lot of them are going to be about 0.265 in thickness and then tapering down to the tip. Hope you can see the thickness there. It's greater than a 1/4 inch in most models. The littler knives will be a little bit thinner though. They hack like crazy. Again, minimizing my calories spent up there. To me, it's a Swamp Rat 9. The Rodent's going to be right there. And amazingly, the little Ratman, that's actually even funnier. Ratman Do CG at 14 ounces total weight with the Kydex sheath I'm going to show you does a pretty good job for its size as well in doing that. And this one, like I said, is going to be a little bit thinner. It's 3/16 inch thick. The Rodent 6 is 0.265, and the other one I think I represented accurately. I hope. But again, there'll be slight variances in widths and blade lengths. Woods blades, survival knife, absolutely. It is a carbon steel survival knife. Those remain my favorite. I'll repeat that. The carbon steel survival knife, still to this day for me, remains my favorite just from all the years I have up there using them. These are made out of SR101 steel, jumping ahead to blade steel, by Bussey. It is amazing. I have several years of experience with it, starting with that scrapyard military regulator. And it's what they say it is. It's a very, very tough steel. It's analogous, they say, to 52-100 tool steel with added kryptonite. Has multi-stage tempering, cryo to 300 degrees below zero, which stabilizes the microstructure. It's a tough steel. Now don't get me wrong, and this might get back to my intro, it's not the only great tool steel out there. Okay, and that's kind of why I led off with this intro, because I think some people say, well, that's the only great tool steel out there. It's not, and I'm speaking from lots of experience. Again, dig into the playlist, you'll see what I'm talking about. A good 1095 that's tempered correctly is outstanding. The Dan Maragni steels he used in the Ontario Gen 2 Plus, great steels, like the Ontario SP50, that is a very capable survival knife. So perhaps some dude with a Swamp Rat R9 goes, well, this will just shred an SP50. Well, not my experience. They're both excellent knives. Excellent, big, survival knives. They're very capable. There are differences, though. There's differences in feel and balance and second kind of cool. And that's where I think we should concentrate our enthusiasm for the type is second kind of cool. Philosophies of use. How about camp knife for this one and the Ratman Do CG? I would say absolutely. Now my camp knives, we're kind of jumping into a different style of knife now. I usually like to be stainless steel because they're preparing food, they're cutting chicken, they're dressing game, stuff like that, where they're going to be faced with a lot of liquids and a lot of opportunities to rust. And this SR101 steel can rust on you if you don't take care of it. You can see I'm running an edge of oil there to the exposed edge. I did on a couple of these and they already got discolored. No big deal, not a big deal, but they did. But for my camp knives, I like a stainless steel knife, usually, and I like a thinner knife as well. I've said that in lots of video reviews. But these two knives could actually function in that. Just keep them clean, as you know. They'll do everything you need to in food preparation, skinning as well. How about collector? I love talking about this. I hope you guys like it when I mention this. And I think the longtime TNP Knife Nation knows when I mean collection, I'm talking about enjoyment it gives you. Secondarily, whether it will gain in value or not. It may or may not. I mean, who's to know? One thing I absolutely love about the Bussey subdivisions is that, I'm talking about their knife subdivisions, is they don't produce a knife forever. Not that I've seen. They'll run it for a few years, discontinue it, and it's gone, and I think that's very wise. It's cool. Because it makes the blade more special, and then for a Bussey fan or just a survival knife fan, you have that in your possession, and I don't know, it just gives you a little bit more enjoyment. I'm going to leave philosophy of use right there. I think I've talked about the weight pretty good. The rodent solution, by the way, this one right here, 8.8 ounces. I think I have a really cool sheath made for that one that I'll show you. And that's a total weight, 8.8 ounces. And this one I talked about, the Ratman Do CG, 14 ounces. I'm just talking the knives themselves. The Rodent 6, 15.4, 23.6. Are there lighter knives out there that can do what these knives do? Yeah, they're called the Psycho series. Here we go, showing a competitive offering right out the gate, and it's going to be from the same company. Okay, these knives are lighter. The Psycho 911, 9.5 inch blade is 17 ounces the blade. If I'm seeing that right. I think I am. Am I? That's right. Yeah, 17 ounces, 25 ounces with the sheath I have paired with it, the 911. So your answer is yes, you might want to go for the Psycho series. When we talk about handle materials, that's, I think, where your decision will be made. The balance, the feel of the Swamp Rats is different than the Psycho series. It's different than a lot of other survival knives that we'll put our hands on, just because of the design, the thickness of the steel, and how the handle is executed. I would say most of them have a midpoint balance. There's a Rodent 9. The Rodent 6, excellent balance. Not really forward heavy in the Rodent 6. How about this little Rodent Solution? I mean, it's so small. Balance is, I don't know. It's just there. It's such a tiny little knife, fixed blade knife, but very stout, by the way. And the Ratman Do CG, excellent balance and feel as well. Talked about the blade steel, SR 101. Crinkle finish on all these. Check out the Flat Desert Earth crinkle finish and how it wore after thumping on these in the mountains. And the ones that bore that testing was the Rodent 9, the Rodent Solution, and the Ratman Do. These were the 3 test beds for the Swamp Rat series. I didn't really thump on the Rodent 6, nor did I think it was necessary, because I've done a lot of work on the steel already. You know, the Scrapyard Military Regulator and the Psycho series that I have videos out on already. It's a great steel, man. I love the coating on the blade. It seems very durable, if not the most durable crinkle finish I've found to date on any large survival knife. One thing I said in the Psycho series is they have radiused transitions under the handle, and actually right here you can see it, for the Swamp Rat series. That's so there's no inherent stresses built into the blade where it can crack and fail on you up in them there mountains. Additionally, when we talk about quality and durability, these knives are penetrant inspected. Say that again, penetrant, I can't speak, penetrant inspected, meaning they will have a die placed on them and they'll look for any flaws in the steel that would cause you problems as an owner. That, to me, for the price level, is amazing. I don't think a lot of them do that. And again, that might lead to super enthusiasm on the type. I totally understand it. How about the handle? Well, this is where it's going to differ, as you can see, obviously, from the Psycho series. Let me see, I'll show you the 511 here as an example. So on the top, you have the Ratman Do CG, and that is a micarta brown handle. You can get, I think, some of these in different colors. This is micarta black, I believe, versus the Res C handle on the Psycho 511. First off, if you ask me which one is more comfortable, my answer immediately is going to be the Res C from a user perspective. I said that in the review. It absorbs shock, it's tough, it's durable, it doesn't change according to temperature, i.e. transmitting, you know, coldness or heat to your hand. Sometimes you will have that with a full tang blade that has an exposed tang on it. You know, keep in mind, as you've seen in those videos, I'm up there in below zero conditions thumping on these blades, and you can get cold, and you can get shock transmitted to your hand. I will say, though, the Swamp Rat series did not show that characteristic at all. And the handle on each of them is actually excellent. Well-rounded, no hot spots, no weirdness. They are, however, permanently attached with rivets. That might save a little bit of weight, and it will give you some options for attaching lanyards, as you can see on the Rodent 9. You could slam it in the middle talon hole there if you want. But you won't be able to service the handles, i.e. pop them off if you need to, or to make a spear. That is a little bit, I don't know, a little hit to versatility if you ask me. The handle on the Rodent 9, amazing. I love it. It's great. It has a deep choil on the back, forward choil if you want to run like that. And as I was doing, I was choking back for a longer moment arm to have more velocity in the swing and the chop, and I found no problems with it at all. You might find it to be a little bit more durable than the Res C, that is Resupreme C handle, over many years of service. If you ask me, I think most guys do not get out and use these knives. They don't. I think most of them are going to collect them, put them in their kits. They might thump on them a few times and then they get busy. They have other projects. Trust me, I know how that is. And they won't run it. So I wouldn't worry about durability of either one. But I will say this when we're talking about the handles. For a second kind of cool, just looking good, you might want to go with the Swamp Rat. Yes, as you will see, it's going to cost more. In some cases, substantially more, to put this handle on it. And this one actually has a double guard on it, the Swamp Rat Rodent 6. I love it. And it might flex into what I've always said, a fighting knife philosophy of use because of that. Maybe the Rodent 6 too, and I kind of forgot that on the POU discussion. The canvas micarta, though, provides really great wet traction. I've talked about that for a long time. And this handle too also, no hot spots. You can kind of see the swells on the grips. Here's a Rodent Solution handle, rounded, nicely rounded. See how smooth that is? A lot of thought went into these knives, as you can tell. Excellent. Lanyard hole here, and you can thump with it, i.e. hammer with it if you need to. Like I've said in other video reviews, I absolutely love that when I can do it. I haven't done it with these knives yet. I have done it with ones very similar, as you've seen on camera. That takes us to the sheath, or lack thereof, with the Swamp Rat knives. Now, before we go into the sheath, I want to talk a little bit about price, and it's a lot for, you're getting a lot of knife for the money. I want to make that clear. For instance, on the top, we have the Rodent Solution for about 130 bucks. Then we go to Rodent 6 for about 180 bucks, the Rodent 9 for about $240, and then we have the Ratmandu CG for about 160 bucks. And my understanding is they just increased in price. So sorry. You can talk to Bussy about that. But that is what it is. Comparatively speaking, that's in the ballpark. It represents good value with an asterisk. And the asterisk is they do not come with sheaths. But Nutnfancy, they don't need sheaths. Yes, they do. Every knife needs a sheath. You guys know that. Come on now. One option that you can do is one I showed on the Scrapyard Psycho series, and that's this amazing high-value Spec Ops. I think it's called the Basic Modular Sheath. Do you remember this one? So here we have the Psycho. I think this is a 711. Let's see how that fits in there. Oh, perfect. Perfect. But that's a Psycho 711. So let's check. Probably the Ratmandu 6 would fit into this one perfectly. Yes, also a perfect fit. Very inexpensive. You can get these on eBay, several other retailers. Spec Ops does a great job with this. Moly compatible, super lightweight, won't retain moisture. Kydex insert, all the stuff I've said in a previous video. That's a great sheath option. Well, what about these other ones? Well, I think what I showed you before. This is a Tsunami sheath from SOG, right? And it's running the Psycho 511. You can run that. Great sheath. I think these are only 26 bucks. Moly compatible, lightweight. I don't think it's going to fit this Ratmandu. Let's try it. I could be wrong. Oh, dude! I haven't even tried that yet. It does fit. Whoa, okay. So there's a cool sheath solution right there from SOG that you can buy for your Ratmandu. Highly recommended. I'll just say that right off. Highly, highly recommended, that sheath knife combination. But let me show you with something with a little bit more coolness to it. These are sheaths from our friends at Red Hill Kydex, official TMP Kydex supplier. Didn't know that, did ya? Well, they finally got the production capacity enough for you guys, the TMPers. Go there, order a sheath, use the code Nutnfancy, and I think you receive a sizable discount from what I think is one of the best Kydex sheaths in the business. Can't speak. In the business. I know, there's lots of great Kydex out there. I am fully aware. Lots of manufacturers. I've been hit up for over 5 years from hundreds of them to promote them, and I sought out and went with Red Hill Kydex, and that's who I recommend. Here's the sheath, by the way, in ATAX for the Rodent 9. Oh, sick! That excites me. I cannot lie. Hey, Nutnfancy, why don't you have an attachment system on that? Well, I did. I took it off because how I run a large survival knife like this. I'm not hiking in with a blade like that, nor am I hiking around with it usually, and if I do, it's going to go in a backpack or a side pocket. That's why. I just don't. In fact, I don't see a lot of guys doing it. They may do it for a picture or a photo op. You know, they want to look cool, so they strap a large, huge survival knife to their LBE or, you know, whatever, their belt. But, you know, as the hours go on, you know, you're carrying a 30-ounce system on your side. It gets old unless you're accessing it and using it constantly. If you are, then I say absolutely carry it on your belt. But that's to answer the question. Well riveted, good round, actually kind of rounded. Probably could have a little bit better rounding on it. The coloration is ideal. That's the Rodent 9 in a Kydex sheath, and I think I have that made in .080 Kydex, which I recommend, from Red Hill Kydex. On we go to the Ratmandu CG. I think that one. Where did the sheath go for this one? Here we go. This is it. Oh! Sick! That's in Red Hill Kydex Booty Cam, for obvious reasons. Just saying. Cool camo. Cool sheath, cool knife. I mean, look at the second kind of cool. If you jump ahead to cool factor, look at this. Is this just not a cool setup? You know, a freaking bussy knife, you know, specifically the Ratmandu CG in a Kydex sheath with a G-clip on it. I love this clip. It's simple, goes on the belt, doesn't add a lot of weight like Tech Lock does. You throw a Tech Lock on there, it can add 4 ounces to your loadout. Great fit and finish. This is also in .80. You just hear that snap. That just excites me. Yeah. So which sheath to buy? I don't know. It just depends what you want. To me, that's a more special combo, what I'm showing you here. And then for the Rodent Solution, also Red Hill Kydex sheath that we purchased, the Nutnfancy project purchased. Booty cam as well. That's a cool setup. And that'll actually, with this sheath, enable us to discuss a little bit extra in the POU discussion. And that is an EDC blade. A little bit heavy for me. Yeah, I know, I'm a wimp, whatever. 9 ounces essentially with this loadout for an EDC blade. 9 ounces isn't nothing, I know. But I mean, I can run a 6 ounce, 5 ounce knife, kind of like the Knives of Alaska, Alpha Wolf or something like that. That's going to be so much lighter and I will forget I have it on. But if you want the strength of a small knife, something that you can pry with and you just won't break it, this knife or one like it will work. So those are the sheaths with it. The sheath option is going to add cost. It just will, especially if you go with a Kydex option like I'm showing you. What do you recommend, Nutnfancy? I don't know, dude. It just depends on what you want to spend and what you're looking for. Are you looking for pride of ownership? With what I think is a very special knife for the money, the Swamp Rat or the rodent knives, I would probably be inclined to put a Kydex sheath on it. I love this one, but Kydex just adds that little something to it. And that'll take us to quality and durability. Well, like I said, I have about 3 years with these types of knives, at least a steel from Bussy. The quality is as good as I've seen in any other survival knife that I've ever tested. Any. And that will take me back to my intro. You may be wondering why, you know, I intro that way. I think TMPers know. The reason is I think there are a lot of fans for Bussy knives, Scrapyard, Swamp Rat, no doubt, awesome. There might be some fanboys for them too that think any other knife sucks. You know, the SP50 again, the RTAC 2 sucks, the K-Bar Heavy Bowie, knives that I've used and, you know, really cracked on up there in the wilderness, the Cold Steel Trailmaster. Those are great knives. You know, are they all perfect? No. No knife is, you know. I will say, again, these knives are as good or better than any of them I've ever tested. The quality, again, is amazing for the price. You're going to get it, a penetrant inspection on it. Very, very highly refined steel. Is it Infi steel like the Bussy knives run? No, but I think in a lot of people's minds it's a close second. Let's, by the way, check this edge as it comes out of box. And who sharpened this? I bet he didn't know he'd be in front of the world now. David! Let's check it. Here we go. I finally have a sheet of paper I can do a test proper on. Oh, I don't know about that, David. I'm just saying, dude. Yeah, the edge needs some work. Remember that honesty principle. I can't pretend it's something it's not. It needs some work. There is an asterisk next to that observation, and it's like this. It's an edge for a survival knife, maybe not, a paper cutting knife, right? So it's going to have a steeper angle on it that will be more durable up there. We understand that. We understand it. If you want a real edge, once again, check this out. This is on the Psycho 511. That's on Edge Pro Apex. Once again, proving that this steel will take an insane edge, hair-popping sharp. Very fine grain structure. Polish is so nice. And like I said in that review, with this angle I put on it, this somewhat more shallower relief edge, it did not roll on me or chip at all. I wish I could say as much for the Rodent 9 to keep it real. You might have noticed right here are a couple nicks in the blade as I came through the log during the batoning process and nicked it in the SR101 steel. I was a little bit surprised at that, to be honest with you. I was. But it's nothing I haven't seen with all other types of steels up there. 5160, 1095. All types of laminated steels like the Falk Neven knives. Yeah, I do it. If it can be broken or chipped, you know where to find it. It's going to be in TMP. Quality, though, is insane for what you're getting. I think totally worth the price. And a classically designed knife, i.e. a buoy design, good belly, strong tip, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Really strong tip that you can pry with, knock stuff out with. We did find that to be the case with this freaking Rodent solution, too. Hammered on without breaking. Off the charts. Keep in mind too, I think these knives carry a lifetime warranty, which is also good value. They are slow to ship, however. You place an order with Swamp Rat Knives, you may not get the knife for months, and that was the case with the Rodent 6, which totally missed the testing phase. That's why it's not dinged up. Another reason. It's because I didn't have the knife, and we'd already gone up in the mountains testing them. It is what it is. They make them in batches every so often. To me, that just makes it a little bit more special. And they are customizable in the drop-down menus. You order them direct from the Swamp Rat Knife website, and you can get the different colorations, kind of like the Ratman Duo I'm showing you here. Cool factor. They're there, man. Cool knives. By the way, I did forget to say this when we're talking about cool factor differences. This is actually a convex blade right here, the Rodent Solution. And I didn't check the edge on that one. Don't know who sharpened this one. And it has been worked over up there. Oh, now that's a better edge right there. See it? All right. Still needs some work. A little bit better than the Rodent 6, though. Convex on this one. And these, I forgot to mention, are what they call ultra-convex saber bevels. So it's not full flat ground. It's a saber grind, as you can see, starting from right about here. A 1 degree off flat ultra convex bevel. It's near FFG, and you can sharpen it conventionally, which I prefer. That's my review. Swamp Rat Knives, the Rodent series. I think I gave you a great representation over the entire lineup. Pick the size that best suits you. These are great knives. They're extremely durable. Yes, they're a little bit on the heavy side, but it will translate into very impressive chopping performance for the larger knives, and very impressive durability for all the knives as you put it through its paces in your system, whether it's in a wilderness system, an EDC system, or whatever. Thanks for watching, sub, and see you later.